the Palace of Speed. Early on in this race.
Season finale of the Spec-5 World Tour Season 15, and it's a big one in oh so many ways. It's the final round of the season, but it's the longest straight of the season. Le Mans historic, no Mulsanne chicanes. The track length, 8.4 miles, 13.5 kilometers, of which just about half of it is a flat-out full throttle run from Tetra Rouge all the way down the back straight, down the Mulsanne straight, towards Mulsanne corner. The slipstreaming is insane, even for Mazda MX-5 standards. This is one of the best Mazda MX-5 leagues, the same group racing together week after week around a handful of some of the greatest circuits on iRacing. That makes it the Spec-5 World Tour, and it's a 90-minute race as well, Devin.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if Circuit de la Sarthe has anything for, the most drafting action they've seen since 1920. I know I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting one out there today. We won't get to see any of that drafting action off the start here. Of course, we got the first few cars rolling to get underway for our qualifying session. We're watching right now. It looks like who's that running? Red black. That's Ronnie Coates. There you go. Our points leader and points champion in the pro class. Of course, we got a really strong season from him. He'll be looking to put another win under his belt after, I think, no fewer than 3 wins. 2 wins, at least 3 wins this season. And as he sets out, it's a long lap around here. It's 4 minutes 40 seconds on average, and that was with a little bit of draft help. So I'm curious to see what the cars will do all on their own.
So obviously cold tyres for Lincoln Fox there, trying to start their qualifying. You will have seen perhaps that they don't do a full outlap here in qualifying at Le Mans. They start around the karting S's, just the exit of the Porsche curves.
It's a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, you don't have to do the whole lap to warm up. On the other hand, you don't get the whole lap to warm up your tires, right? So those first few chicanes are pretty sketchy.
But then you're spared a couple of chicanes here down the Mulsanne Straight. You've missed one there already. There's one more that we are going to dodge with Simon Foweather.
Yeah, and they they just keep the thing foot to the floor. This has got to be one of the longest straight shots in iRacing. I wonder how it compares to the Dodinger Hoy. Did I say it right?
It's got that cleared, like not even close. Way beyond that. So there's still quite a bit of tyre warming going on. We're only got a few drivers that are really further enough around the lap that this first lap, while it counts as a timed lap, it really is the tyre prep lap, all things considered. And hey, there's where you have to get on the brakes and turn for the first time in about 1.5, 2 minutes. Simon Foweather. Then you get another decently long flat-out run, but you get into some of the twistier back half of the lap when you reach Arnage, Indianapolis, and then the Porsche curves, the chicanes at the final part of the lap.
I could not fathom how you'd prep a global Miata to be happy about running this wide open, this long in the real world. Coates just diving it in. Really sketchy section through here in the Miata, in any car really. It's just so committed as you're getting down into the Indianapolis and Arnage complex here. Month of May. You know, getting to watch some of that Indianapolis action. I don't know about you.
Talking about like keeping it wide open, I suppose. Yeah, it's a month for high speeds and toe laps, no toe laps. Thinking about all that sort of stuff. Got to flow into this series of corners here, though. It's very high average speed. Couple of changes of directions, not super easy through this part of the lap right here with the wall just on the outside. On this first lap, Ronnie Coates is not pushing it too hard. Still time on the clock to get in all 4 flying laps, it would seem.
Yeah, keeping it clean and tidy is Ronnie. I'm enjoying the looks of that car too. It's really got a pretty paint job, that thing.
So there's towards the end of the lap where the pit entry is. This being a 90-minute race, it will be a 2-stop race as well, so they'll be well familiar with pit lane by the end of all of this. Just tidy through the final couple of corners to then set up the next lap. This means we're going to get some of the first times on the board.
4:39.8 for Ronnie Coates isn't half bad. That's 3 purple sectors on that lap for him, and puts him only about 2 seconds down on the fastest laps we saw in open practice with draft. So that could be a hard mark to beat. We'll have to see. You know what they say, slow is fast, and that looked slow and controlled all the way around.
There's a couple of steps in the middle though. There's slow is controlled is smooth, and smooth is fast. The intermediate steps are quite important. Simon Foweather went to second, Geordie Fike went to third, Jabalski to fourth, and Adam Thompson went to fifth, with a lap time that again looked very tyre preparation.
Yeah, we got a face that I'll use up on the screen there for a moment. Adam Thompson, who we haven't seen yet this season, but Old regular around the series. Is Adam? Got the all white livery today.
It's all white. There's a blue theme to the mirrors around the air intakes.
Stickers,
Around the number plates around. Come on. So you're onto the real laps now, though. You will have pressured the tyres for these moderate conditions. Not too hot, not too cold. Goldilocks, as they say. And so Ronnie Coates has a purple first sector. The second sector on Le Mans Historic is 94 seconds long in these cars.
I'm just glad that they don't have the chicanes in there, otherwise it'd be 2.5 to this.
Well, no, having the chicanes would break it up into more sectors.
Do they actually have more sectors?
I think so, pretty sure. Yeah. There's more sectors on the modern Le Mans than this historic. He's about to get to, I think, where the sector is going into Le Mans corner here. It's 3/10 down on what he did the lap before, down the whole length of the straight. So you can do the sums on that, but I think 3/10 over about 5 miles is kind of within the margin of error down that long straight.
He must have not hit the throttle as hard, something? No, I'm kidding. Just a tiny difference in the run will get you there. Once you hit that VMAX, you're just sitting on the rev limiter for...
I mean, when you have a look at, say, the wind conditions, maybe, it's blustering back and forth between sort of 1 knot and 3 knots of wind. So basically nothing. But the reality is if it gusts up on you while that's where you are, it really could do 3/10 over the whole length of that straight.
Good time as any for a weather check-in. It's 75 Fahrenheit in the air, 78 on the track. Relatively cool day out there.
So look at that wind pickup right as we're talking about it. Suddenly it's up to 7 k's an hour of wind from almost a standstill. That's just a tiny bit coming and going.
Yeah, that's how she blows.
Indeed. Got 8 drivers with qualifying times at the moment. There's a few like Adam Thompson, Gareth Brocklesby, where that first lap really was all just in the preparation. Now you get into the part where you don't really worry about the wind blustering 1 knot, 2 knots. It's all in your own hands to think, okay, yeah, the tyres are underneath me here. I can push up onto a little bit more of the curbing, through the walls a little more, really open up this super flowing section, and just a tiny bit of the brakes there from Ronnie Coates. Get the car to rotate on the nose, give himself a nice wide entry there, carry speed out of here, really starting to open up the parts of the track where the drivers can express themselves through the Porsche curves. Not so much in qualifying down the long back straight, but in the race, of course. So when the strategy all really kicks in. Important not to throw away a 4.5-minute lap at the final chicane, jumping any of those curbs too aggressively or exceeding track limits.
Nice one there from him. Nice final sector. Just ekes out an improvement. That's a 4:39.0 that time by. It was a 4:39.8 the time before.
Andrew Gilliland will go to second as he crosses the line. There's a handful of other cars about to trip the timing beam at the end of their second flying laps as well.
Andrew Gilliland, the youngest driver on the grid, not showing as he puts in a pretty quick one. And Sean Hayes comes across the line. 4:38.8. That's a quick one from Sean. We usually see him closer to the mid-pack, but maybe he's a little Le Mans specialist. We don't know.
Super quick through the final sector as well, so he made a lot of time late around on that lap.
Actually, as I look at that, that's 3/10 better than Ronnie Coates and nearly 1.5 seconds better than Andrew Gilliland was.
He's 2/10 up on Ronnie Coates the sector before that. So from about Arnage all the way around to the checkered flag, Sean Hayes was super quick on that lap that he just completed. Otis Adams jumps up to third. Jordy Fike jumped ahead of Brian Chabelski. And you've got, of course, a lot of the drivers, similar places around the lap. They sort of all come around and update the timing at similar points. Ray Lombardi now jumps to 5th, but on board here with Otis as he navigates the early part of the lap. A few little S's there, the chicane after the sweeping turn 1. And this corner here is so important, Tete Rouge, on this layout, because the moment you get back on the throttle on the exit of that corner, the momentum that you carry, of course, carries for almost the next 2 minutes. Revs up in 5th gear, and you're just trying to pick the line of least resistance. And I've heard some people, you don't want to get onto the really rough stuff either side on the sort of the verge there. So you either pick a lane, or some cars I hear that following the dashed lines down the middle can be slightly lower resistance. It matters on the normal Le Mans layout, of course. Matters incredibly with no chicanes.
Yeah, that's true, and as a result, I've actually been kind of surprised to see that most of the guys seem to be favoring the left-hand lane as they're coming down the straight. They're not all Europeans, so I don't know what that sort of choice is about. Maybe they're just left-hand drivers overtaken, in the States.
Perhaps. Looks like a little bit of a bump as you get to some of the less used part, the cut through on the chicanes. And then the little kink, and then a little... Where's Mark Webber's crest? Is it this one here? I think this is Mark Webber's crest right here.
Yeah, that's the one, right as he's coming over here. Luckily, I don't think these ones are going to do any backflips for us today. Not without a lot of motivation, anyway.
We go tidy at the end as well. Starting to face in towards the sun. Lots of trees beside the circuit. Around this part here, some harsh shadows sometimes during the 24 hours of Le Mans. And you can correct my pronunciation here, and I won't take it, Devon. 24 heures de Mans?
That was pretty close. 24 heures.
24 heures.
Yeah, those G's there are pretty smooth in the French language.
Ready to commentate some hockey, baby.
Hey. And then Australia hockey would be a good time. Lincoln Fox coming through the S's, coming out to start his third lap, it'll be.
A lot of time lost at the end of the lap just completed for Lincoln Fox as well. You can so easily get a slowdown penalty a couple of places around here. In the race, that's going to be terrible as it drops you to the back of any of the pack. But in qualifying, of course, it writes off one of just 4 laps, and then you're waiting 4.5 minutes to get around and have another go.
Coates comes in and hits the line and is 0.02 of a second slower. That'll be disappointing. Speaking of, Simon Fullweather's gotten it kind of wrong in the final chicane. He nearly had an off in the dirt and swerved it back across the line. I think that ended up costing him the lap. You'll see the off track, not here, but on the next right-hander. Jumps the curb a little more than he meant to, I think, and ends up real wide. That's a bummer. Meanwhile, Andy Kossik's put in his first lap of the race in that minty car. It ain't much, but it's a clean one, and that's a 4:46 for him. Puts him in 12th place.
Apparently he went for an extra amount of minty recently. It's had a minty top up. I note that you were talking, Europeans, non-Europeans, and Gareth Brocklesby has the purple sector on the Mulsanne Straight. So maybe there is something to it. We can keep an eye on him one of his later laps, but it means he's tracking okay on this one. Currently sits 8th, which is second for open class at the moment.
He and Gilliland will be the big race in open class if this keeps up. 2 of them putting in pretty solid lap times. Car's leaning on that outside tire as it exits the chicane. And he jumps up. Oh, gets real close. 4:41.3 will put him 0.7 back of Andrew Gilliland.
So think Sean Hayes might be done with his qualifying. Ronnie Coates is a couple tenths down on the lap that he's doing right now. Otis Adams from third, also not improving in the first sector of the lap. And so here's Otis hitting the straight right now. He slowly works his way across. He's running down the middle of the road now, getting a little more to the left-hand side, but that is a little more middle of the road than some others we've seen. Now he's getting across to the lane.
I'm curious to know how these tires are doing. If this straight is giving them a big heat cycle, because we really aren't seeing the kind of improvements we typically tend to see later in the qualifying. I wonder if anyone is looking at those numbers as they're coming in off the track.
I think Brocklesby might have gone wide out of Tetra Rouge, and that's his qualifying done. We won't see him go down the Mulsanne again. It's Tetra Rouge there as you come onto the long straight, where you can run a little bit wide out through the pavement, but if you don't get back onto the racing surface in time, it's a slowdown penalty. It's an off-track. Your lap is done and gone, and that's where a few drivers have gone through and then parked it, and their qualifying looks done. So Sean Hayes, done. Andrew Gilliland, done. Gareth Brocklesby, done. But Ronnie Coates still running, but with no improved sectors. Lincoln Fox has got personal bests coming in towards the end of the lap. So there's a driver who could jump some.
Yeah, looking clean as he goes through the S's there. I've learned by consulting the French track map that all of the S's have different names at different points in French than they do in English. Yes.
Here's Fox just to see this lap out. Previous laps have not been tidy as you hope. That's good enough, I think, based on how the rest of the lap was tracking. Crossing the start-finish line, and Lincoln Fox goes from 13th to 4th. That's a reasonable final lap.
Yeah, you really got to think that there's at least 2 seconds of draft available out there, so pretty much all of these guys will be able to hang on to the lead pack if they're trying to. Ray Lombardi driving the gold car down the straight. Matching those gold numbers in his box, of course. Loyal supporter of the series.
Ronnie Coates' qualifying is about to be done. And that final lap falls 3 tenths away from being an improvement.
7 full weather to the line this time. And he'll cross, and it'll be cancelled. That's a shame. Unfortunately for him, another off track. Cossack comes to the line next. He improves, but it's not enough to get him off the back row of the grid.
Geordie Fike improves up into 7th with that lap. I think Jabelski, Zeus Dalston, and Eugenio Polici are all tracking for some improvements as well. So the next to the line will be Brian Jabelski, and he jumps 1 spot there ahead of Gareth Brocklesby.
Yeah, Otis is practicing a pit entry, which makes a lot of sense. Zeus Dalston drives right past the pit lane. He's coming in hot to the final sector here. We'll see if that's enough to improve. Or shoots the left-hand apex, but drives it out pretty cleanly. And it's an improvement, but not enough to improve the spot. That's 442.9 for him.
Ray Lombardi dropped a bit of time around on this one, but picked it up somewhere later around the lap. Okay, and he jumps to 4th.
Yeah, almost no green sectors on the whole thing. Oh, and he shows us a local route. I'm not familiar with that one.
Can that access road take you to the KFC?
It might very well be. He's still on it. I'm shocked.
That's a drive-through penalty that I'd take. Stop at the first window, place your order. Stop at the second window, pay and collect.
Yeah, we can't put that line on the broadcast, otherwise people will start using it in official sessions. That's strong.
Polici's also going to practice the pit entry, so he maybe thought that was more important than improving the qualifying time, or maybe he picked up the slowdown penalty. The final left-hander of the S's is one of the few noticeably off-camber places around here. You've got Arnage Corner that's quite cambered towards the apex, but then you've got one there right at the end of the S's cambered away and makes it very easy to run wide.
And I think that's about it for qualifying. I'm looking around, and everyone that's still running has either done all their laps or is going to struggle to get one done before time runs out. Perhaps no, even Polici's had a little issue there, so I don't think he's going to get one in either. Ray Lombardi's having celebratory exploration time. He's followed the asphalt road around the outside of all the corners. It's ended up predictably.
Looks a bit bumpy, that access track that gets used by the recovery vehicles to probably reset the tire barriers, etc. Why don't you go down and explore the takeaway?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's speaking of good recoveries, changing that crash into a donut was a good call on Lombardi's part.
Whoops, I meant to do this, perhaps.
Yeah, it's just spinning the tires. Just a little bit of that.
The arena in the background there, a relatively recent addition within the interior of the circuit, and it's where I think the French League Le Mans team plays. Le Mans itself, a city of perhaps 600, 800,000 people, not insignificant, not massive, but they've got their stadium new build within the circuit, which is the terminus of the tram line from in town. So you can get from the town to the track, or the town to the football stadium on that. It goes underneath the circuit about there, I think, or is it just up here around this area?
Speaking of Le Mans trivia, I was reflecting on the Mercedes hump where they all did backflips, and my memory was right. They did trim that down. It's 26 feet shorter than it used to be, which is actually a pretty substantial change to the configuration of the track there.
Similar happened for Flugplatz at some point as well, where they went like, okay, let's just flatten it a little bit, partially for safety's sake. You've got the famous clock countdown at the start-finish line there, and Barney, look at that, he's got like the nuclear launch codes and everything with his little briefcase and his buttons on the stand. It's all for him. That's counting down the time remaining in qualifying. 3, 2, 1. Qualifying over 90 minutes of racing coming our way, and Sean Hayes has the pole position from Ronnie Coates, the Pro Class Championship leader, coming into this final round at Le Mans. Otis Adams and Ray Lombardi are row number 2 there, with Lincoln Fox in 5th. Andrew Gilliland, Open Class points leader, in 6th. Geordie Fike, Brian Chabelski, Gareth Brocklesby and Simon Foweather is the top 10. Brocklesby might have a little sneaky something for that long Le Mans straight. He was so good there in qualifying. It's all about the race tactics now. Zeus Dalston, Eugenio Polici, Adam Thompson and Andy Kosick are the remaining cars on the grid for this 90-minute, 2-stop race, Le Mans, no chicanes.
Yeah,
Time started counting down as they've gone to the grid, not when the green flag is waved, but maybe when the green flag waves it resets itself? We will find out. This is where they are forming up before the Porsche curves, so it's a little bit more formation lap here than it was for qualifying.
Yeah, they'll get a nice little run to wiggle back and forth and get those tires cleaned off and nice and warm. And they even get a real-life Porsche to drive them to the grid today. None of those, Costco brand pace cars for this series.
Or Ford Mustangs or pickup trucks. No, just the real deal. The most successful mark in the history of racing at Le Mans. Most successful pace car as well, potentially. It's on some real deal Michelins there. Take a look at that. And it's the Cup car slicks. No road tires for this pace car.
I was going to say, they got nicer tires than the Miatas do on them. So as we roll off, what are you thinking? What's going to be the trick to winning this one, Haynes?
Oh, having some good friends. There will be an incredible amount of 2 lanes, 3 lanes, slipstreaming, slingshotting, bump drafting from the first lap all the way together. And to break away out of the tow here, down that long, no chicane straight, it borders on an impossibility with a 2.5 second effective tow. And if you can have anyone willing to just give you a little bit of a bump to close that gap down, 2 guys working together could catch 4 or 5 seconds on someone down one straight on 1 lap alone. So if no one wants to work with you, if you've got no buddies, then you are going to have a really, really tough time.
It's all about the boys.
Ferda?
Yeah, I think I agree. It'll be a fun race. I'm also kind of curious to see who manages to get the fuel strategy just right. I have a feeling that if you can run in that draft, if you can run it at 70%, 50% throttle and kind of keep up, there might be a lot of fuel saving to be done today.
Some onboards in the pack is definitely where the intrigue is going to be, at least before the first round of stops, potentially later on. A few of the drivers are having a little weave or two, trying to get just a bit of starting temperature in. The sun's going to get lower in the sky. Shadows are going to get longer. Could be quite dark by the end of this. Track temperature just slightly dropping away. Here come the jets to leave the French national flag. There goes the pace car to leave the front row. And Sean Hayes is pretty keen to get this one underway. I think Ronnie Coates just wants a clean result for his championship. And the crowning ceremony later on. Green flag waves. We work our way through the tight final chicane. 90 minutes starts now with Sean Hayes leading them down towards turn 1 and the Dunlop chicane. Andrew Gilliland already trying to make some spots there alongside with Lincoln Fox as they're side by side with Otis Adams. Bit of 3 wide right there as first, second and third trail away. The action's on behind them.
Gilliland being real brave around the outside, becomes the inside here though. He gets real close to Ray Lombardi and gives Ray a tag. Ooh, and Ray faces the wrong way, and Jordy Fike gets caught up in it as well. He gets turned around by Gareth Brocklesby. The 2 of them are going to get away with it, with maybe a little scuff on the bumper, but that's a shame. That's an early one. We'll see if they can connect and get back to the front.
There is still an incredible amount of racing. You can see a bit of damage there. Someone runs wide. Otis Adams runs wide in front of Lincoln Fox and Andrew Gilliland, who've got some good speed. Sean Hayes and Ronnie Coates could work together and stay away from the pack, if possible, through Tetra Rouge, still on cold tyres for the first time. There is almost 3 seconds from Ronnie Coates in second place to Lincoln Fox currently in third. Who works together and what they do, so critical now. Packs forming up, like Adam Thompson leading Gareth Brocklesby, Eugenio Pellicci, Brian Chapelski, and Zeus Dalston. And they pull out a line there. So we're going to get 3 wide. Eugenio Pellicci trying to slot the gap. No bump drafting happening in the third train. What about further up towards the front? Otis Adams and Andrew Gilliland and Lincoln Fox are going to let Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes get away.
Yeah, Gilliland seemed a little hesitant to get in line off the bat, but he's gotten in line with Otis now, and the 2 of them are pushing, and it looks like Lincoln Fox isn't going to be far behind. I wonder if a 3-car train can be more efficient than a 2-car train up ahead. We'll get a real good measure of that by the end of the straightaway.
Gareth Brocklesby doesn't want to bump draft Eugenio Pellicci, so he pulls out a line. There's Simon Foweather catching and now trying to slingshot past that next group of 3. But you see Sean Hayes pushing Ronnie Coates right now, trying to defend and protect that little lead that these 2 have got for the moment. Foweather has leapfrogged a lot of them and up into third place, though He's not getting that assistance now. The straight goes on and on and on. Otis Adams and Andrew Gilliland locked together, get back past Simon Foweather, and he gets sent back from whence he came.
Foweather's top speed on the straightaway, 141. The next highest speed was a 138 that I'm seeing on the timing screen. Oh, and a little push wide there. That was Otis Adams getting pushed wide. The corner at the end is always tough when you've got this big draft. You're coming in faster than you ever have. So Otis gets away with it, but the cars are forming back up.
Yeah, you can still see a little bit of that damage for Andrew Gilliland. If it's hurting the straight line speed at all, it's hurting you big time on this racetrack and this layout. So Foweather in that second in line spot, looks like he is going to try to push Gilliland towards your race leaders. There's your duo up front, then your next four, then your next group where a lot of the chaos is happening with Polici and Brocklesby and Zeus Dalston, and you've got Ray Lombardi and Geordie Fike desperately trying to hook onto that group, and I think they stand a decent chance. These are two very experienced drivers in this type of car. They know how this race is going to play out over 90 minutes. They know Fike and Lombardi that they can work together, they can catch this next group, Fox around.
Yeah, Fox has a little issue getting in the brakes, and just kind of you see him close up under braking to Foweather, and then again as they go into Arnage, he gets on the brakes a little deeper, a little later, and just tags Foweather, and then goes around as he's trying to avoid it, and it ends up collecting a couple. Fox loses several position, goes from 5th all the way down to 11th. He's going to have to work pretty hard to get back through that pack.
And Otis Adams seems to have quite a bit of damage because he's dropping positions big time. We go back to live, and the freight train are swooping around him through the Porsche curves.
Pass for the lead. Sean Hayes gets it as they're going through the Porsche curves. Gets overtaken. And Hayes actually has a bit of a moment. And Coates is out ahead. Either way, they carry on. We'll see if we can get that replay later.
First lap nearly completed. Jumping over plenty of the curbs in the final sector. Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes still lead. Critically, that gap to the next group of cars has extended. Andrew Gilliland 4.5 seconds away from the lead, and only with Simon Foweather to work with now as Lincoln Fox drops through the order, and Otis Adams hits the pit lane for the significant damage that he had on board.
Yeah, that's going to mess with the pit strategy a little bit. Figure that we need 2 stops today. Don't think that a stop this early is going to cut it. And I am curious to see. So now there's a little bit of a gap between Hayes and Coates. Will they be able to get it back together, or will Foweather and Gilliland make a better pushing team out at the front? It's all yet to play out.
Genio Polici, Gareth Brocklesby, Zeus Dalston and some of these others had to go side by side through the Porsche curves, getting around the injured Otis Adams, and that cost them just a little bit of time, a little bit of link up. But you look at the gaps car to car to car as we head onto the long straight once again, you know they'll be bumper to bumper by the end of this.
Speaking of, Sean Hayes already on the back of Ronnie Coates, just pushing down the straight. And Simon Foweather's got the same idea in mind as he's getting a bump from Andrew Gilliland. So 2 tandems driving 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Adam Thompson has a slowdown penalty, and it's cost him an incredible number of positions and momentum right now. He's pulling to one side. He's trying to clear it. He still hasn't cleared it. I think he's just cleared it now, but it sent him to the very, very back of the field. I think Zabelski, Fox, Lombardi, Geordie Fike, Andy Kosick all got around, and then it costs your momentum for the whole rest of the straight as well. Here's the long shot. 3rd and 4th, Foweather and Gilliland just passed by. Polici and Brocklesby side by side is going to help Zeus Dalston and Brian Zabelski slipstream towards that. Andy Kosick appears to be bumping Geordie Fike to stay with Ray Lombardi.
Yeah, they're working hard for it.
There's your race leaders, and they are even further away from the pack right now.
Yeah, gained nearly a second, so they're making that bump traffic look just a little bit better than the guys behind.
Zeus Dalston closes the gap passes Eugenio Pellicci, helps to push Gareth Brocklesby along, and we finally reach the end of the straight. And surprise, 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 they are all bumper to bumper to bumper through this part of the lap here. Brocklesby pulls aside because he's got a slowdown penalty from the Mulsanne corner there. You want to stay with the pack. We've seen from Adam Thompson, we're seeing now you simply cannot afford to get those slowdown penalties.
Yeah, they're killer on a track like this, and really easy to do. I mean, if you drive this track in a GT car, an LMP car, they're a little bit wider than these Miatas, and so you're not quite as much at risk of getting that slowdown on the inside. He manages to get that slowdown and not even touch the bollards on the inside of the corner there.
So HJBC.live has all of the live timing in addition to what's on screen. You can see these packs and these gaps. So you've got 2 cars leading, then 6 seconds, Simon Foweather and Andrew Gilliland, then another 4 seconds, and that's where everyone else seems to be, from Eugenio Pellicci, an unbroken train, back to Andy Cossack, and you can see Adam Thompson not far away from that. The only driver then not in that long shot is Otis Adams, who's had to be through pit lane from the damage he got when Lincoln Fox spun in front of him.
Bad month of May for that guy. That's a shame for the Hoosier that he's not getting to have a good one here. I'm honestly a little bit shocked by the difference in pace we're seeing out of the top 2 versus 3 and 4. Not just in the quality of the bump draft that's happening, but even in the corners afterwards. They were pretty close in qualifying, and Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes really seem to have found another gear at this point.
Yeah, these two were the class of qualifying, and then once they've broken a little bit away, they've both been so surgical and precise. No slowdown penalties, no mistakes, no spins, no people spinning in front of them, and that's allowed them to just pull away a little bit from Foweather and Gilliland. Basically, the only thing that could catch 2 drivers working together now is 3 drivers working together, and I'm not seeing that happen anywhere else. It's just too much of an ask to get 3 people to shake hands on it. Foweather and Gilliland, they've got the same tools available to them as a duo that the leaders have got, but we saw when it comes to lapping around here, Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes just got a little bit more pace. You can't out-tactic them, and you're not outpacing them at the moment, because the only tactic you might have is to really, really save some fuel, which obviously Ronnie Coates can't do out at the lead of the race right now. Someone's off.
Yeah.
Eugenio Pellicci.
I'm trying to get eyes on it. Yeah, and that's Pellicci getting it all kinds of wrong. He just suddenly turns right at the bottom of the hill. It's almost as if the wheel stopped responding. He just cuts hard right as he's going through the Dunlop chicanes there.
So no more Eugenio Pellicci as he tows back to the lane. Nice set of amusements around. Ray Lombardi, remember when he was basically last, having been spun at the Dunlop chicane? He's working his way up through the field, and look at this. He's about to hunt down Zeus Dalston for 5th. Geordie Fike going along with him as well. Here's 2 guys who were practicing working together, and they are going to shoot right around Zeus Dalston, keep bumping each other, and they are an unstoppable freight train down the, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of another French thing, Hunandiers, long straight.
Hunandiers.
Oui. Fantastic. Yeah. But look at this, not working together behind these guys. They go 3 wide. Brocklesby's just going to slingshot Zeus Dalston as they slingshot Lincoln Fox, whereas Ray Lombardi and Geordie Fike, till death do them part or something, they can really, really stay linked up, stay worked out together. Now, as Brocklesby pulls out, he hits that wall of air, he starts to slow up, and then the duo are going to get right back past him again.
It's really interesting to me because he's losing a little bit of time at this point, but he's not losing much. And Fike and Lombardi were pushing the whole way down. Brocklesby's going to have the inside line as they come in here, and he pushes Jordy a little bit wide. Jordy keeps the foot in it, though, even though he's putting 2 tires in the dirt. And
this is where making
Zeus,
friends pays back, because Zeus Dalston goes, of these two, who do I think I want to work with? And the answer, Jordy Fike. He goes to push Jordy Fike up towards Ray Lombardi, and they'll all aim to get around Gareth Brocklesby.
Yeah, two by two. It's about to be. Contact there. Fike
Dalston keeps it on the road.
Yeah, Fike went to change lanes, and Dalston gets door banged. They clear things out, though, before they get into Indianapolis.
You can see Andy Cosick and Adam Thompson trying to work together in the backer shot as well to catch this group. So there's third and fourth, and then an ever-increasing gap to this next pack, which might, set off now that Ray Lombardi and Jordy Fike have gotten to the front. Does Ray Lombardi have the fastest lap of the race? I think he does. I think he's working his way up through the pack, having Jordy Fike push him. Ray Lombardi has the fastest lap of the race. So if these two weren't spun out turn one, if they were the cars in third and fourth, they might stand a chance of hunting down our leaders, and it shows exactly how the speed in these cars on this layout is about who you can work with, not how gutsy you can be down through the Porsche curves.
Yeah, don't undercount that, though, because Sean Hayes and Ronnie Coates are making quick work of that section of the track and continuing to grow their lead through lap 3 now. They're Foweather's gotten it all wrong in the final corner. You see it in the background there. He gets all 4 tires off in the dirt and loses a ton of time and momentum, and this is going to be a real problem for Andrew Gilliland and the crew. I think we're going to see a battle from 3rd place all the way back to 10th if we're not too careful here.
So another lap where Ray Lombardi and Jordy Fike are quicker than the race leaders. They are the quickest duo on track right now. And you've just seen Andrew Gilliland lose his drafting buddy in Simon Foweather. Simon Foweather lose a little bit of time. Now only 2 seconds in front of the quickest cars on circuit. How about Fike's onboard? I wonder what we'll see from him as they're about to navigate Tetra Rouge here. Again, track limits on the exit, so critical here. You want to flow as much speed as you can through this quick corner, but you need to get back on the road by about there.
And he might have got that wrong. We'll have to see.
That's fine, Wade. That's how it's done. He done it good. But now he lines up behind Ray Lombardi. He gets all the way towards the top of 5th gear with a mighty, mighty toe down here. And the question is what happens thereafter. Speed about equal between Fike and Lombardi. Now the toe kicking in. Fike closing it up a little bit. Is he feathering the throttle much at all?
I don't think so. I think actually Lombardi's getting a bit of toe from Foweather up ahead, and that's slowing Fike's progress towards him. Yeah,
it actually is. Fike's going to have an amazing double toe head of speed here as he continues to just slowly close in on Fike, who's closing in on Lombardi, who's closing in on Foweather.
Dalston doesn't have any time for that, though. He's going to give a push to Fike, who's going to give a push to Lombardi. This is going to be a little spicy if we're not careful. And Lombardi calls off the dogs. He calls off Zeus Dalston, and Dalston lifts, and now Fike's giving Lombardi the push, and the two of them are going to easily get on the back of Gilliland and Foweather.
This is the fastest Lombardi's been all race, 225 kilometers an hour with a mighty, mighty toe and a bump. He's going to slingshot around. Zeus Dalston also wants to go for it. 3rd place now belongs to Ray Lombardi as Andrew Gilliland and Simon Foweather get caught by the peloton and shuffled into the middle. But look at how many cars now separate Ray Lombardi from Jordy Fike. Their teamwork is what got Lombardi to 3rd. But now Fike is going to have to be all on his own trying to work his way back up through this field.
I was a little surprised to see Fike tapping the brakes, lifting at that point. I mean, it was going to be a tough pass into the corner there, but I think the right move was to go for it. Either way, Gilliland's now got his choice of pushing partner, and he's given his push to Zeus Dawson right now as they come through the golf curve towards Indianapolis. And it's a threesome heading down there.
So our breakaways being consumed. That's a little bit wide from Simon Foweather. If you just don't quite hook the camber there, then you end up in a really, really tough spot. You got Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes still your race leaders, 12 seconds ahead. But third place is now the train with Lombardi. Dalston, who seemed like he's been relatively compliant in the pack. Andrew Gilliland with a bit of nose damage in fifth. And then Geordie Fike has gotten to sixth when Foweather ran wide. Gareth Brocklesby may have had some kind of problem.
He just had a big punt on Lombardi, just a big push, and then decided to back off it. I don't know if there was anything particularly wrong. Okay,
so he's behind Fike at the moment. The 333. And he just night.
Well, the internet will do that to you once in a while. That's a shame. So that's our second DNF. You got to think of the race. Got Gareth Brocklesby sitting on the pit lane as well right now, disconnected.
Another lap completed, and your leaders aren't going to pit just yet. We're thinking with a two-stop 90-minute race that you're kind of, 30 minutes pit, 30 minutes pit, 30 minutes to the checkered flag. We'll see how long they run in the first stint, if any sort of windows to extend open up. Ray Lombardi, new fastest lap there, but not as good as Zeus Dalston, a 4:37.234. Looks like the fastest lap of the race to this point.
Yeah, Lombardi really seems to have some pace when he's getting the right push. Going to be a new pusher for him, though. Now Fike is still 3 cars back, and it'll be Gilliland pushing Lombardi and Fike pushing Brocklesby, that we know that can definitely change by the halfway point of the straight. I said all kinds of names, and I didn't say the right ones. I meant Fike pushing Dalston and Gilliland pushing Lombardi.
We'll see how they link up. Once again, this time around, you still got Simon Foweather and Brian Chabelski here with Lincoln Fox in 7th. I think Adam Thompson might have got another slowdown penalty somewhere. He's now 2 seconds behind Andy Cosick. They'll go the wiper blades for Chabelski. He wants to be in line with this big train that's going to form up. Lincoln Fox slipstreaming off of Geordie Fike, bumping Zeus Dalston, catching Andrew Gilliland and Ray Lombardi. Some of the speeds are going to get pretty crazy here, especially for Zeus Dalston getting pushed and a double toe. Fike pulls out and just a tiny tap on the brakes. Doesn't want to be part of any of this. You're going to see a little bit of 6th gear happening. You would never, without a slipstream, hit 6th gear in these cars. But in a group like this, sometimes you do. On board with Dalston right now, thinking about pulling out from behind Gilliland, thinking about pulling back in line, not completely sure what to do. And that means that Lincoln Fox, Brian Chabelski, Simon Foweather all close in as well. About to be an unbroken train of 6 or 7 cars here.
I really think that damage on the front of Gilliland's car is limiting him as a pusher. He seems to be really struggling to get the kind of push that we're seeing from the guys deeper in the pack. He's pushing at like 132, 134. Some of the other guys are pushing at 137, 139. Oh, Lombardi runs it a little bit wide.
So easily done. You arrive at so much speed. You've been on a long straight mission for almost 2 minutes there. It's just to almost overshoot a little bit at the end. Gilliland immediately links up to bump again, but I wonder if there comes a point here where Dalston or Fike look to get ahead. Dalston's just sitting, just coasting. Fike will arrive at some speed and have a decision to make. a lot of them in the train here are deciding to sit and save fuel, looking at when their next pit stop might come up and go, can I run a lap longer? Because if, say, Lombardi or Fike run a lap longer than everyone else in this pack, then they get a whole lap just to themselves to try to really overcut this pack. So you might see something like that happen from some of the fuel savers in this group now.
That would be a little bit interesting. For those of you eagle eyes watching HJBC.live or the timing overlay, you'll notice that Sean Hayes is now taking the lead. He actually took it pretty uneventfully up the front at the start of the Le Mans straight, and he was, I think, permitted, nay, let's say, encouraged by Ronnie Coates. We're going to see Coates kind of lift out of it a little bit here and say, hey, I've led enough times down this straight. It's my turn to draft and get out of the way. He's going to do it any time now. There it is.
Sean Hayes takes the hint and will lead for a moment. The next group working their way just out of the Porsche curves right now. Your leaders are not pitting, so Hayes and Coates still stay out. Lombardi in third, and all of his ducklings are all going to stay out.
And that was a real world horn, not an on-track horn. Anyway, they're all using their chrome horns out there today. They don't need any of those ones that you push on the button, you know. And now the gaps continue to grow. Last time by, the leaders managed to take another second or so out of the pack behind. Not quite as big as they managed to take out before. I do wonder if the second group gets itself in order here, if they could get a bigger push going.
Yeah, the pace just dropped off a tiny bit from this group on the lap just completed, because they went from, say, Zeus Dalston, who had that 437.2, all into sort of the mid-high 438s, so not the snappiest pace.
We did see the tires dropping off after a few laps in qualifying, so it's not, you know, crazy to think that the tires are starting to suffer a little bit. Sean Hayes has the move, almost a replay of the lap before, as Ronnie Coates comes around and takes the lead. I wonder, I'd be a little tempted to start thinking about, hey, what does it feel like to try and make an overtake happen on this straight? You know, just to have that data in my back pocket. Meanwhile, the freight train's forming up behind. Dalston pushes Gilliland into Lombardi. And Lombardi gets that little shove that sends the car wiggling. Challenging road to bump draft on, if I'm honest. The crown in this road is really, really pronounced. And so when you're getting these hits, it's going to be shaking the car and kind of knocking it off balance a little bit. It causes all the shimmying we're seeing around.
Faux weather almost pit maneuvered Lincoln Fox there. There was a bump that was not square at all. And they're all linked up together now at the end of the straight, as Lombardi still leads, being pushed by Gilliland, but everyone else just cracks the throttle a little bit and sits in line, really hitting that strategy game part of the race right here, right now. No moves happen. The corner down at the end of the straight, although a lot of them run wide. I think Dalston was a bit wide and everyone else just followed him a car width wide of the apex.
I kind of have this feeling that those tires are just boiling by the end of the straight. Sun's starting to go down. 72 Fahrenheit, 75 on the track. Still not much wind to speak of, but yeah, it's getting later and later. I have a feeling we might see the dark. They keep it nice and tidy as they come into Indianapolis and Arnage here again. All the cars from 3rd through 9th running together in a big group.
So how about we, just for a second, spare a thought for those 3 drivers that aren't. Andy Kosick might have had some slowdown penalties or something, because he's then dropped back a little bit. And once you lose the draft, that pack is going a lot quicker together than you can on your own. And Adam Thompson's also, definitely saw him get a slowdown once. There's perhaps a hint of damage there. But there's a few cars that are going to look like that, the way some of the bumps have been going on. And then Otis Adams is here, 1 minute 5 seconds away from the race lead, 22 seconds away from the next car for position, and about 45 seconds away from that other big pack where you expect you'd really, really want to be.
And it's shown in the lap times last time by a 4:39.9, which is a respectable qualifying lap, but not enough to get you gaining ground from the leaders who are running 4:38s and 4:37s. And
Still not through the first 30 minutes of the race, so no pit takers. And again, just for exactly those reasons, Devin, you've been talking about the pace we're seeing from Otis Adams, who we know is, a good driver, and we know got repairs on his car, and it should be pristine. If you pit early from this pack, you're just going to lose 2 seconds every lap compared to guys who are able to work together. It's just Daytona like that, isn't it? You can't pit alone.
Yeah.
You got to pit with a buddy. Otherwise, you are going to be nowhere.
I might even go so far as to predict that we'll have manufacturer pit stops here. Where, like they do at Daytona, where it's all the Chevys and then all the Toyotas and all the Fords pitting on different laps together. This will just be all the Mazdas pitting on the same lap.
Should be interesting. So this is on board with Lincoln Fox right now. You can see Ray Lombardi, 3rd place, just a little bit up the road. And the answer is 3 seconds up the road right now as we exit Tetra Rouge and onto the straight. By the end of the straight, they could all be amongst each other once again. It's still Ray Lombardi and Andrew Gilliland up front there. Gilliland hasn't gotten close to bumping yet, but this is Fox's look. Just following exactly where Simon Foweather goes, who's going exactly where Brian Jabelski goes, who goes exactly where Geordie Fike goes exactly where Zeus Dalston goes, who's following in the wheel tracks of 3rd and 4th, where Andrew Gilliland pushes out of line. He goes out of line instead of bumping Ray Lombardi. So it is on now as they nail their colours to the flag. Zeus Dalston's got an amazing amount of speed on and elects to not bump. Geordie Fike's got even more speed, and he's going to go around the outside on the rough stuff, all of them. Geordie Fike going to 3rd place. Jabelski cracking the throttle a little bit, maybe needing some fuel saving. Simon Foweather and Lincoln Fox aren't. They got some speed on. This feels like in-lap to me, Devin Peters. This is so in-lap, pilled, and pit stop coded.
It feels a little bit like that. I thought for a moment Fike was going to get ahead, but they're still 2 by 2, and it's getting a little sketchy in the back. They're straightening it out, though, and now Fike is the loser in all of this. I thought Fike was going to get ahead of Ray Lombardi for just a minute, and then Lombardi just side drafted him ruthlessly and pulled by. And that's a big move there from Fox. Dives to the inside and then backs out, decides that's a closing triangle there. That's going to be a hard move to get out of. He managed to make it through.
So Lombardi still in 3rd, but they got all sorts of out of line there, 3 wide. Some drivers really looking to save an incredible amount of fuel. Some drivers going, I've got a massive slingshot on here. I can jump a whole heap of positions. Geordie Fike thought he could be one of them, but in the end, it didn't quite work out. 2/10 of a second for your leaders as well. We didn't quite get the same coverage of Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes, what games they maybe played down the straight. But we had a couple quiet laps amongst this group, and now we're back to at least 1 or 2 chili spicy.
Yeah, I can feel it coming. I think we're thinking this thing will run 19-20 laps. So if the math makes sense to say that this will be our in lap, this will be our pit lap. We'll see who takes it and who maybe decides to stretch. If I'm Lombardi, with how much success I had with Fike, I'm really surprised that he didn't try to make it happen, that the 2 of them could connect again. We'll see how that plays out for them.
race leaders 15 seconds up the road from the train for third, making its way through the entry of the Porsche curves. These leaders making their way out the exit of the Porsche curves. Pit entry not too far away from them here.
Yeah, we'll see. Coates opting to take the lead this time through. And driving right past the pits. So at least the leaders feel like they can go one longer.
Driving right past the sign that helpfully says pits. The camera pans and shows it as Lombardi goes through.
And we got one taker, two takers. That's Fike and Gilliland.
And Jabelski. Now, Gilliland, I think, doesn't surprise me with that damage. Fike surprises me that he pits a lap apart from Ray Lombardi because, I mean, the amount of work that those two achieved together early on in this race, they were last and second last, and they got to third and fourth. But they're not going to work together this time around at the pit stops, and Brian Jabelski probably reacts to what Fike is doing and goes, yeah, I'll follow him.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me. For those of you wondering, that time it was a real in-game horn. If you ever wanted to question iRacing's commitment to authenticity, not only do you get a horn when the car is driving the pit lane, you get the actual horn from Le Mans.
Left side tyres for Andrew Gilliland, no tyres for the others. Adam Thompson also pits.
Gilliland actually ended up taking all four there, I noticed. And it seems to have been free, so a worthwhile move for me.
I can see the advantage to maybe taking tyres at the first stop, but not the second one. Like, you've still got 56 minutes from here to make them work. Even if the cold tyres are going to be a little bit difficult, you've got some slipstream to try to keep you together till those tyres come in, and then you might have just slightly fresher ones than everyone else later on. We'll see. These guys are going to come out behind Otis Adams, and with Jabelski actually jumping Gilliland and Fike. So a little bit less fuel from Jabelski, who might have saved a little bit more fuel, and he comes out ahead in this group with the race off of pit road. Adam Thompson also exiting the pits right now.
Meanwhile, on the straight, the bump drafting has resumed, and it took a little while to get going. The cars were a little bit spread out after that initial sort of break of pit stops, but in the second half of the straight here, now Ray Lombardi's getting pushed real good by Zeus Dalston, and Lincoln Fox is getting a big old shove from Simon Foweather as well. And in fact, Foweather came in with nearly a 6-mile-an-hour differential when he hit the rear bumper of Lincoln Fox, so it was a real hard hit, but it's paying off.
For Lincoln Fox, Simon Foweather stops pushing just as Fox arrives at the pack and opts to pull out and put on the brakes a little bit, drop back in line. I don't think Fox has looked particularly confident at any point into that Mulsanne corner at the end of the long straight. Very, very eager to sort of pull out a line and brake early there.
Yeah, has seemed to be.
So what's your prediction? Does this bit of teamwork mean that these cars that have run a lap longer overcut the ones that we just see pit?
Well, as I'm watching Jordy Fike and Andrew Gilliland down the Mulsanne straight, I think that Fike and Gilliland have done a better job of working together than these guys did. So right now I'm going to have to give them the nod, but it will come down to the pit stops and the pit entry and all that. So we'll have to see.
Brian Jabelski came out of the pits ahead of these two, and they have freight trained him right now. So he's going to do what he can to stay in the tow as these cars that have pitted now approach Mulsanne corner.
I think Coates and Hayes were really fortunate to have a 2-car breakaway off the top, because that really does seem to be the optimal configuration for bump drafting. 3 and you got a third wheel. 5 and you got a little bit of chaos, but 2 seems to be just right.
Right, you slipstream, you bump draft, but you don't invite the same level of chaos, confusion, and betrayal as 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in a pack. So Ronnie Coates leads us into pit lane with Sean Hayes following along. About what we expected from everyone, anticipating Ray Lombardi's Austin, Lincoln Fox, Simon Fower to follow in as well. Fox is going to stick a pass on Dalston just before we get to the pit entry as well. So there's first and second in, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Also, have to navigate this little chicane on pit entry. You can't shortcut it, that's a penalty, so you do need to take that chicane. And then pit lane speed limit.
Coates had, I will have to see. Coates had a really close call with the white line on the entry to the pit lane there. I'm not sure if he managed to escape without a penalty. We'll see. Anything on your screen?
Penalty-wise, no, we look all good. Left sides go up for Sean Hayes, and now a little bit of right side action as well. Ronnie Coates' car has stayed absolutely flat on the ground, and the cars behind, Lincoln Fox, Ray Lombardi, Zeus Dalston, they all come in and they think, yeah, a bit of tyres might be a good idea.
And I think most of them have learned that two
That's
tires...
left sides only for Lombardi, but all four for the cars behind.
That's what I was going to say. Most of them have learned that two tires on these things kind of tends to suck, but Ray Lombardi decides to brave it. And I'm not sure. We'll have to see if that pans out. Sean Hayes and Ronnie Coates underway, and Coates with a slightly shorter stop, but definitely a better start, gets away fast.
So there's some games afoot here, for sure. Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes both took a full tank of fuel. Lincoln Fox, a little bit shorter. And then Ray Lombardi, taking the full tank as well, has come out just ahead of Andrew Gilliland, Geordie Fike, Brian Jabelski. Zeus Dalston's full stop has had him just behind Jabelski. So Dalston's going to need to get those tyres in quickly or be left behind. Oh, and Sean Hayes. Oh no, drama. The cold tyres on the outlap has gone around. Ronnie Coates now leads. So, having taken tyres when Ronnie Coates didn't, having ended up a little bit broken away from the toe of Ronnie Coates, gotten too much curb, gotten a slide on, Otis Adams has to avoid, but Sean Hayes then goes into the wall, pushing too hard on the outlap. Lincoln Fox comes through for position. Sean Hayes has gotten going again in fourth, but Andrew Gilliland, Ray Lombardi, Geordie Fike and Ray Lombardi reunited are going to be able to freight train a damaged Sean Hayes. They're going to pull either side of Andrew Gilliland and they're going to box him against Sean Hayes. So now Gilliland can go nowhere as he approaches Sean Hayes. Ray Lombardi and Geordie Fike go around the outside. Jabelski has linked up again here. Simon Foweather and Zeus Dalston have both had problems as well. Those cold tyres are a real menace.
Yeah, it's cold out there, and both Foweather and we'll see which one we get. This is Dalston. He turns, same corner, same mistake, gets a little bit sketchy and just keeps trying to catch it. In the background, you see Foweather getting it wrong, and he'll slide and just lose time. And Dalston, he goes all the way in the wall, and that's a hard hit. That takes the whole front end off the thing. I think, Foweather and Dalston both paying the price from those cold tires.
And Hayes, obviously, as well. So now you've got two groups side by side pushing down the straight here. Andrew Gilliland and Ray Lombardi get ahead of Geordie Fike and Sean Hayes. Lincoln Fox, what's going on here? Up in third place, but appears to have short fueled by about 7 seconds and does not have 7 seconds of advantage on this group behind.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that strategy is. Maybe just splitting the difference on the fuel, making the pit stops equal. Either way, he's going to get run down by the likes of Lombardi and Gilliland pretty quick here. But interestingly enough, Otis Adams is also out there, currently lapping in second place, though with that very short stop after the incident early on. Otis might actually be the savior that Coates needs to win this race, because Otis is just behind Coates on track, and Coates will be praying for a push pretty soon here. Lincoln Fox stays wide and lets Ray Lombardi take the inside at Indianapolis.
It stands to reason that if Otis pitted after lap 1, Otis is going to have to pit again now, 1 lap later than everyone else.
That's true. That makes some sense.
So yeah, Ray Lombardi ahead of Gilliland there. Headlights come on for everyone. Now approaching the second half of the race and racing into the darkness. This is not going great for Lincoln Fox, I don't think. Now in the pack, but going to need a sort of 7-second longer final stop.
And slowing down, maybe? Driving like there's a slowdown. Gave up a lot of time on that straight for whatever reason. Ray Lombardi and Andrew Gilliland, meanwhile, leading the pack here.
They worked together pretty well before the previous stop. And then early in that stint, Geordie Fike worked well with them as well. And now he's in the picture.
As promised, Otis Adams hits the pit lane, leaving Ronnie Coates all alone.
So I'm interested to see how this goes now.
Yeah.
Like, how long? Surely Lombardi and Gilliland together will be 2-3 seconds a lap quicker than Ronnie Coates. There's no amount of raw speed or talent that's going to make up for that makes the throttle pedal go past 100% down the Mulsanne straight there.
You think so, but also it only takes one little incident in the bump draft to blow up the whole pack, you know. So it's been, and actually, ironically enough, wasn't it Lombardi who got rear-ended by Gilliland going lap 1, turn 1? So, I mean, there's still a possibility that Coates is able to hold on to this thing and secure another win to put kind of the icing on the cake of what's been a beautiful season for him.
So right now, Ronnie Coates' race lead is 12 seconds. Otis Adams is back out on the track after his second stop. And there on the track map, the 31, your leader and championship leader, Ronnie Coates. The 112, Ray Lombardi. And Andrew Gilliland will get passed by Geordie Fike. So now Fike comes through. Big head of speed, having slipstreamed on Gilliland, now slipstreaming on Ray Lombardi. And now pulling into third, Gilliland has to choose his friend, and he chooses Geordie Fike.
Interesting. I was wondering if Fike would hook back up with Lombardi after how well things went earlier, but it has not happened, and Gilliland now given the push. And Ray Lombardi has to jump in line and hope that he can catch.
How many miles an hour faster than Ronnie Coates are they going right now?
They are currently going to 5, 6, in some cases 8 miles an hour faster than Ronnie Coates.
Ronnie Coates' race lead when the pack came onto Tetra Rouge was 12 seconds. It's now down to 10.5 and shrinking very, very quickly as the bump draft from the peloton looks to catch the breakaway.
Speaking of catching, Sean Hayes is catching Ray Lombardi. He's coming up real fast. He's going to have a big push here on the outside. And he lifts out of it. Doesn't quite deliver that big push that we saw coming, but it's going to be 2x2 with the Mulsanne corner.
Ronnie Coates' lead now 9.5 seconds. So he's lost 3.5 seconds on one lap in one straight to the chasing pack.
Yeah, that's right. So this is no longer Ronnie Coates' race at this rate.
Sean Hayes probably still kicking himself a little bit. And then I guess you got to go full credit to Andrew Gilliland because he's still on the road. Almost everyone else who looked to take tyres was in a really, really tough spot. So Hayes wrecked it. Dalston wrecked it. Fauweather wrecked it. Andrew Gilliland took 4 tyres, and look at him here, still part of the pack hunting down the race leader. And maybe Lombardi's 2 tyres is still preferable to all 4.
Yeah, that might be the case. And I was going to say, you know, the tires, they might not show up now, but in 45 minutes, you got to think that you'd rather have Gilliland's tires than the rest of the packs. 9 seconds as they exit Arnage, and now we're taking a look a little deeper in the field. This is Andy Cossack giving a push to Adam Thompson. And the two of them are trying to catch up to Otis Adams.
Yeah, now that Otis has taken his second stop, he's got one more stop to go. Adam Thompson and Andy Cossack have got one more stop to go. This is a real battle here. Otis, Adam Thompson, and Andy Cossack.
Yeah, Cossack given ample speed or protection for himself as he goes into that right-hander before Indianapolis. Manages to close up most of it, though, as he gets through Arnage. And Adam Thompson really drifted that corner. That was leaving black marks all the way through.
Now we're about to have the race leader complete this lap. That'll give us the lap times. And then we'll have the pack come through. And you'll get a sense for exactly how difficult it is to lap quickly all on your lonesome when you've got a group behind Sean Hayes, careful there, willing to bump draft, willing to work together, willing to slingshot and slipstream. So Ronnie Coates a 439.9, Ray Lombardi a 437.2 is his personal best lap of the race. And in fact, there's personal bests from second place, third place, and fourth place, fifth place. They're all doing their best pace of the race.
Place. Yeah.
Hunting down the race leader.
Yeah, I think the blood's in the water, and these guys know it. They're working hard.
Nothing like a common cause as well to unite 5 drivers of different allegiance.
Ray Lombardi breaking away a little bit here. He's got about a second as they head towards Tete Rouge, but I don't think that'll last for very long.
Yeah, he can get the best run he wants off a Tete Rouge here, but he needs someone to get there and help him along if they're going to make the same inroads into the race leader that they made a lap ago. Probably not too long before Gilliland bumps Hayes, bumps Fike, slipstreams up on Ray Lombardi, and they're all closed together. Here comes Gilliland on Hayes.
You almost got to be a little nervous if you're Lombardi, because they're going to come at you at such a rate of knots that any attempt to bump draft could be catastrophic. So you got to hope that they go around you. Gilliland gets real close to Fike. Oh, and that's a dangerous spot when you're following the car ahead and you can't exactly see your blind spots. Fike drops into line now.
Oh, here comes the train on Ray Lombardi. Sean Hayes gets pushed through by Andrew Gilliland. Geordie Fike shoots around the outside.
Yeah, and I saw that one before. Ray Lombardi getting a little bit here, though. And going 3 wide rather than getting in line with his buddy, and he's going to take the spot back.
Lombardi back into second, hopefully getting a little bit of assistance here. There's almost a 3-way bump, which you've got to be so careful of there with Geordie Fike and Andrew Gilliland. Sean Hayes willing to just sit in the toe, crack the throttle a little bit, and that's where the big fuel savings happen for drivers like Jabelski and Lincoln Fox, who are just watching the bump draft happening in front and sitting in the toe of a pair that are braking through the air at speed.
So
race lead down to 8 seconds.
I was going to say race lead down to 8 seconds. That's only 1 second gain. So they were a little less organized this time, and they didn't manage to take out nearly as much. We'll see. I mean, there's another big long straight here, so they're going to gain a little bit more. But if they continue to mess around like this, they might not close that down as fast as they'd like.
They can see him now as well. I think when he was sort of 13 seconds up the road, he would have been a little red blob, but now at 7 seconds, you can see the race leader when you come out of corners like Arnage.
Yeah, you get that full resolution car, not just the low resolution far render car.
So here comes the group once again. A little bit further back, Otis Adams has dropped back to Adam Thompson, looking to get a drafting buddy here.
Yeah, Cossack must have had a moment at some point, because he lost a significant amount of ground from his drafting buddy Adam Thompson after being right on his bumper about a lap ago. It really just seems to have been purely on Thompson getting a sniff of that draft from the likes of Otis Adams ahead.
We're going to get the lap times again shortly, but while it's not quite 3.5 seconds, Ray Lombardi's gained about 2 on race leading Ronnie Coates. So Ronnie Coates has got no one to help him save fuel. He's got no one to slipstream. He's got no one to bump draft him. And there's even a chance that his strategy ends up a little out of kilter compared to the cars in the pack. Because right now, you know, almost everyone brim to their fuel tank at the first stop, but that won't be the same at the second stop.
Yeah, it almost makes a guy wonder if you shouldn't just lift off, knowing it's inevitable, because that was another just under 1.8 seconds. Math's hard, man. As they cross the line, that's taken out of his lead. So if it's inevitable, do you decide, hey, I'll just go back to him? Or do you just hope that pack gets messy and wrecks again?
Maybe you do just hope for some fireworks on the next in-lap.
Yeah, we're not too far off. We're coming up on, the third lap of this stint, and I think the last one lasted 9, so...
It was 7 and 8. So Geordie Fike and Andrew Gilliland went 7 laps on their first stint. Ronnie Coates, Ray Lombardi, Sean Hayes, Lincoln Fox went 8 laps on their first stint. So now Geordie Fike and Andrew Gilliland are on the 5th lap of their second stint. Chance it does get a little messy here, but again, the linked up bumper-to-bumper stuff propels them with a significant speed advantage over Ronnie Coates.
Yeah, Fike's doing his damnedest to push Ray Lombardi here, but with the help of a little bit of a run, Ray and Fike are getting outpaced by Gilliland and Hayes, and now the side battle, or the side drafting is going on. They suck towards each other and then jump back out as soon as they get ahead.
But the speed advantage they have on Ronnie Coates here, again, it's sort of 5 miles an hour. They are not only walking down the gap, that's jogging pace. So,
yeah. And Lincoln Fox is hanging in the back, saving a whole boatload of fuel.
Jabelski too. Those two are sort of playing all right, you guys at the front, you're the speed department. I am the save fuel department back here. That's kind of what those guys are doing.
I think they have to, though. You know, looking at their stop times, 33 seconds versus 44 for Lincoln, 33, and Hayes with 44. And Shabelski, 35 seconds stationary. So the two of them definitely underfueled relative to the rest of the group. Another big loss on the straight that time. I think that was another 2 seconds easy on Mulsanne straight this time.
That first pit stop's a tough call, though, for a lot of these guys, though, because I want to take on as much fuel as possible. But if you go a full tank and some other guys short fill just a little bit, and they leave you behind and you get dropped because of the first pit stop, you'll never get it back. So they kind of maybe short-filled a little bit to try to stay with the pack here. But, you know, now it gives them some pain later on.
The other thing is I believe this is a 55% fuel tank race. Normally it's 45 in the Spec-5 hour-long races. So it's possible that some of these guys just fuel to their normal amount rather than fuel into the full.
You start to see Ronnie Coates in a lot more of these shots. There he is, leading the race, 5 seconds now ahead of Ray Lombardi. Remember when it was 15?
Yeah, not so long ago.
And the groups are linked up once again. Gilliland pushing Sean Hayes. Geordie Fike probably won't arrive in time to bump Ray Lombardi. We're still a while away from any of these guys stopping on schedule, but I note that with 33 minutes left and a predicted 8 laps, it's possible that you could take your final stop now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a really good line of communication, though, to take a risk like that, I think.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Just had a little drama in the back. That was Adam Thompson running deep on the way into Indianapolis. I don't know if we got a shot of that, but nearly, yeah, we'll see it here. So as he's coming down the straight, is that what we're getting? You know what? I think we're actually a little bit past it. But either way, Adam Thompson runs a little bit deep in Indianapolis and nearly takes out Otis Adams, who's breaking ahead of him. But the two of them carry on with no drama and a little bit of time lost. Here it is, getting the push, and Adam has that big push all the way down the straight. And then as they get into the kink before Indianapolis, you'll see him hit the brakes and dive to the right out of the way. Doesn't cost him too much though.
Found a little rallycross jump out there. So your race lead is about to get onto the Mulsanne straight once again, and his lead is just 5.5 seconds. But think about it this way. We've seen the toe extend as far backwards as 2 seconds. He really only sits on a margin of about 3 ahead of Ray Lombardi, Jody Fike, Sean Hayes, Andrew Gilliland. Looks like Fox and Jabelski might have had a little bit of a drama staying with the pack. But again, by the end of the straight, time will tell. A lot happens in the sort of 3 miles, 4 miles of this back straight. Fike and Lombardi linked up early, already at more speed than Ronnie Coates, already nibbling away at his advantage. Andrew Gilliland will leapfrog Sean Hayes as they close in on Lombardi and Fike, still closing in on Ronnie Coates. Gap underneath 5 seconds, now down to 4.8, 4.7. I can read it out like this as they go down the straight. Ronnie Coates will see it in his mirrors, not just in his relative box now.
Gilliland gets that run, but as usual, the run is good for getting side by side with the lead car in the draft, but not good enough to get you past it. Sean Hayes hanging back a little bit in Gilliland's draft and maybe hoping for a run that he can use.
Race leaders margin down to 3.5 seconds, almost to the end of the straight here. It'll be about 3 by the time they get into the braking zone. Ronnie Coates will know that there's only 1 or 2 more laps, and he will be part of the pack. An 8-way, 7-way fight for the race lead.
I just need to shout this out because I didn't notice it till now. Sean Hayes last time by, a 4:36.8. Damn, he's flying up there.
The teamwork has made the dream work just a little bit for these groups here. In this second phase, once they saw that catching Ronnie Coates was possible, they had nothing to lose working together. When it was Coates and Sean Hayes working together at the lead, they weren't making a whole lot of progress. They didn't have a common goal. But then Hayes, too tentative on his strategy call, and then losing control on the cold tyres, left Ronnie Coates all alone, and that is a vulnerable position on what basically amounts to a French right-turning super speedway plate race.
Oh, there are some Le Mans disciples that would be very angry with you, but you're exactly right, sir. It's a beautiful thing we've created here today.
Lombardi really good through those corners there, dropping Jody Fike by 1 second.
Yeah, seems to consistently have a little bit in Indianapolis and Arnage. Gets himself a gap going into the Porsche curves, and that's going to be a nice feeling to know you can do that, especially considering that you might be doing that for the race lead here in a minute.
Calculation has us at 7 laps to go at the end of this one. So again, pit window open for everyone, like Otis Adams, but like Ronnie Coates, Ray Lombardi, the rest of them here. Next cars that I would expect to pit, Geordie Fike, Andrew Gilliland, and Adam Thompson. Remember that they were the first to pit the first time around, so they'll have to be the first to pit the next time around as well.
Lombardi.
He's going for the pit lane. Ray Lombardi is going to make his final stop.
Oh,
wow.
I think he was hoping that the field would follow him in, because if they all stop and then get another lap together, they'll overtake
They'll be
Ronnie
3
Coates.
seconds quicker than him, just like they're 3 seconds quicker than Ronnie Coates. If Andrew Gilliland pushes Geordie Fike, then Ray Lombardi could be left in a really, really difficult spot. That pit call is early and aggressive, and I don't see any advantage to it right now unless he thinks a bomb is about to go off in this pack if they go underneath 55 miles an hour.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you make that call without a guarantee that someone behind you is coming with you, and he did not get that guarantee. That hurts.
Maybe you thought Fox had to pit? But then
Maybe.
Fox would have a longer stop and they wouldn't come out together anyway.
Yeah, this is a heartbreaker.
Confused and flummoxed and bamboozled.
Otis Adams hits the lane this time too, which was probably Ray's only real hope at having a drafting partner. I guess Adam Thompson's out there still too, lapping, and Cossack in the back. But oof, if you're Ray Lombardi, that's a big oof.
Did he maybe not take as much fuel the first time around as we thought?
No, he had to stop just as long as the other guys. I mean, I'm not sure.
You look at his direct competition right now. This is them on the Mulsanne straight, bumper to bumper, high speed, catching Ronnie Coates for the race lead once again. And Lombardi is all on his lonesome. No one to draft, no one to bump, no one to work with. Lincoln Fox is part of this 4-car long snake right here, with then Jabelski just off the tail of it as well.
And 5 becomes 4 by, or I guess 6 becomes 5 by virtue of Ray Lombardi dropping off. Lombardi and Thompson are going to be together this time down the straight, so Lombardi's not completely on an island.
Okay, Coates is cooked now, 2.5 seconds to these guys behind. They are slipstreaming on the race leader, Ronnie Coates.
Sean Hayes giving a push to Andrew Gilliland now, right up on his rear bumper. And Jody Fike's about to be looking at some rear bumpers himself.
2-second race lead. Andrew Gilliland now into second. Sean Hayes through third. Geordie Fike, Lincoln Fox, Brian Jabelski. Ray Lombardi's linked up with Adam Thompson back there in 7th and 8th.
Yeah, and that's a blessing for Ray. If he can, if Thompson can stay out for a little bit and give Ray a push, he might not be out of this thing yet.
If Thompson stays out for 2 more laps pushing Ray Lombardi, that's exactly what Ray is going to want. Precisely what he's going to need as well to rejoin this race anywhere near Coates, Gilliland, Hayes, Fike, Fox, and Jabelski, what appears to be our top 6 at the moment. So when does Coates pit? Is he just going to fall into the pack and then pit with the rest of them, or does he look to go early?
I can't think he goes early. And he ran it one deeper than the rest of the field. So the rest of the field presumably has to pit before him. So if I'm Coates, then I'm staying out and I'm waiting. But again, there is some risk. Like, with the gap that there is right now, the 1.9 seconds, Gilliland and Co. could decide to take that pit stop before they get to him, which would make it real awkward for him on the exit of the pit lane.
Andrew Gilliland goes into the Porsche curve. Sean Hayes runs a little bit wide. 1.9 seconds is Ronnie Coates' lead. He's been really good through this part of the lap. He's clearly very, very quick, but it's gone to show the real speed around here happens when you've got a drafting partner, when you've got a tandem buddy, and that's where his 12, 13, or 15 second lead has evaporated over this middle stint of the race. We're getting towards the pit stops that send us into the final stint of the race, and Ronnie Coates pits. Sean Hayes goes with him. The rest of them stay out.
They're doing some 5D chess, man. I have no idea what's going on with this pit strategy. Coates is saying, I guess I want to race with Ray. I don't know. And Sean goes with him, so I guess maybe they're collaborating a little bit.
Maybe he's looking for that first stint magic that they had, looking to rekindle it after all of these laps. Andrew Gilliland had a little bit of a mistake off of the final corner there, so Geordie Fike passed him and went to the lead of the race. And so now Geordie Fike is your race leader from Andrew Gilliland, Lincoln Fox, and Brian Jabalski.
Man, and the strategies are crossing and crisscrossing. I'm excited to see how this one pans out.
I ask you, where did these two rejoin compared to Ray Lombardi?
They got to be right near him. I think.
No, I don't think so. Look at that. He hasn't even made his way through the final chicane. And Ronnie Coates is back out through turn 1 and approaching the Dunlop chicane. Sean Hayes ahead as well.
Coates also took 2 left-hand tires. I don't know if you caught that. So with how the tire situation is played out, I don't know if that continues to work, but we'll see. Having stickers for Tete Rouge and the Mulsanne corner are going to be pretty important. You got to think, oh man, and Ray Lombardi nearly got shunted by Adam Thompson that time into turn number 1. That was a moment.
Their key competitors as well as Geordie Fike and Andrew Gilliland, and they are working together. Lincoln Fox is working with them. So this stay out long bump draft strategy seems to be working relatively well so far. No one is yet challenging Fike for the lead. Fike probably has to pit at the end of this lap. Gilliland probably has to pit at the end of this lap. High chance that Fox has to as well if they short field a little bit. And Jabalski needing to pit at the end of this lap as well. So I think we're going to have our pieces all set up on the board for the final stint in not too long.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, but I got to think that Fike and Gilliland are in the most desirable position right now because they've got to draft every single lap, and a couple guys haven't been so lucky. Hayes and Gilliland are exactly 1.84 seconds apart. Sorry, Hayes and Coates, rather. And it's just not changing.
Fike ran wide at the Mulsanne corner. Andrew Gilliland goes to the lead of the race. Lincoln Fox has something to say. Gets boxed in there and leaves Fike hanging. Goes to bump Andrew Gilliland instead. So will Hayes catch Coates? I think Coates should want Sean Hayes to catch him.
Yeah, but now as I refresh my timing screen, that gap's actually closer to about 5 seconds. So yeah. The two of them are not close enough to be really compatible for drafting.
Right, I thought they were closer.
Yeah, me too. So I think this group of 4 is going to come out in the lead. Lincoln Fox gets to the lead of this group after spending the whole last set of laps fuel saving, and suddenly puts on a burst of speed to take the lead. You got to think that this is an indication you're planning to come in this lap.
20 minutes to go at Le Mans Historique. And Lincoln Fox leads us with the pack heading towards the Porsche curves, and then presumably the pit entry for the final time. Fox runs a little wide on the entry. Gilliland is on a better line to cut back when the circuit changes to the left-handers, 2 consecutive left-handers. Tight on the exit here for the right-hander, where you want to stay tight to the right-hand lane for the off-camber left-hander that leads you out of this section. Oh, and the wrong side of the camber is Geordie Fike, who has to get out of the throttle, drops back away from Fox and Gilliland leading. Pit entry on the right here. What do we see from Lincoln Fox, from Andrew Gilliland? They're all heading to pit lane for the final time, and then they will battle it out with Ronnie Coates, Sean Hayes, Ray Lombardi for the race win here. It started out looking like there were 2 in position to win this race, and Sean Hayes had a drama. Ronnie Coates got caught. It looked like there were 8 that stood a chance. Ray Lombardi had a long stop. Sean Hayes had a long stop. I think there's just 5 left in it, but we'll have to wait till after this final round of pit stops for your leaders.
Coates is coming through the Corvette S's this time and heading towards those final chicanes before the start-finish line. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to make this work. We got 4 cars on the pit lane. Only 1 car taking tires. Gilliland taking left sides again.
So how much fuel does Fox need? How much fuel does Gilliland need? Fike, what about Chabelski, who's been the big saver? Oh my, Gilliland likes new tyres. Here comes Ronnie Coates. Again, he still had about 2 seconds of advantage when the first round of pit stops came rolling around. First off of the lane will be Geordie Fike, then Chabelski, then Andrew Gilliland, then Lincoln Fox. Sean Hayes will go through on the lot of them and up into second place. With 4 laps left, Ronnie Coates leads by 5 seconds over Sean Hayes, 1 second to Geordie Fike, 3 seconds to Brian Chabelski, Andrew Gilliland, and Lincoln Fox.
I have no idea how he's pulled that off. I do not understand how Coates gained time on that pit stop, but he's done it. He must have saved a whole boatload of fuel at some point in this race, but that's awesome. So 5-second gap for him.
Oh, Gilliland on those cold tyres, bounces across the curb, tags Lincoln Fox, who goes around. If you're the only car on the cold tyres, should you really be trying to battle side by side on the outlap like that? I think the result is all on Andrew Gilliland there.
Yeah, I'm honestly not even sure he was trying to battle. He holds it wide through the first left hand of that chicane, and as they come out, there's a tires width between them, but the net code says there isn't, and Lincoln Fox ends up facing the wrong way. That sucks.
Ray Lombardi up towards Lincoln Fox. Too much speed difference to be able to bump, so slingshotting around, and then Lincoln Fox will jump into the toe and stay together. Ronnie Coates leads 5 seconds. Sean Hayes is going to get caught by Geordie Fike. So what happens there between Hayes and Fike stands to decide the win of the final race of the season. Together, they still would have enough speed and enough time to catch Ronnie Coates.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if those two can connect and make this work. They're going to have to gain about what we've expected, gain about 2.5 seconds a lap in order to close that down.
They only got to gain 1.5 seconds per lap, and then they would be within the toe on the final lap down the Mulsanne. Fireworks, I believe, go off after night when you cross the checkered flag here. They definitely do at Sebring and Daytona. Don't know. The flyover happens on the green flag during the day, though, so that was nice. I'd take that as far as a display in the skies. Hayes just a tiny bit wide there, but again, it just means Fike is in position to bump along. Brian Chabelski, after all that fuel saving, didn't seem to have cut enough out of that final stop to be with the pack, pardon me. Same for Gilliland, who obviously maybe had to wait on those tyres as well.
Yeah, Gilliland did have to wait. As soon as that car dropped on the right-hand side, he got the thing going, but also cost him a bit of time, of course, bumping over that curb. And a big old push from Geordie Fike down that straightaway too means that they're only 4.5 seconds back as they get to Indianapolis. We'll see.
Andrew Gilliland might have to worry about Ray Lombardi and Lincoln Fox, because now they're together. They're only 6 seconds behind him. So there's still time for those cars that are on their own to really succumb to the 2 bump drafting pairs that we've got. Sean Hayes and Geordie Fike in 2nd and 3rd. Ray Lombardi and Lincoln Fox 6th and 7th.
And I'm just floored. I'm really curious to see how this is going to pan out.
I think this time on the Mulsanne straight is really going to decide it, because if Hayes and Fike can take 2 or 3 seconds out of Ronnie Coates, it's absolutely game on. But through these twisty bits, Coates is holding his own. He's still 5 seconds in the lead.
I just got to put this out there. I had a little birdie tell me before the race that there was a chance this thing goes 20 laps. And I only noticed one guy take a lot more fuel than the rest at the final stop. And that was the same little birdie, Ray Lombardi, that suggested to me this might be a 20-lapper. And my
not a little birdie telling you if you let us know who the little birdie is.
4.0 laps remaining right now, not 3.0.
That would
So
put Ronnie Coates in a very difficult position. He took the least fuel of everyone at that final stop.
yeah,
Is Geordie Fike dropping back a little bit here as well?
if he's thinking this
What's
thing goes
going
well,
on, Devon?
I don't know. This is going to be a fun one to watch everyone play their final hands here. Everyone has to take a stop, and Otis Adams grabs the thing.
That'd be fun. It'd be entertaining for us, potentially very frustrating for a lot of the drivers who will have spent 90 minutes working very hard, trying to mind their P's and Q's and their bump drafting in the pack, just to lose it all on a bit of a fuel miscalculation. Andy Kosick is going to make his final stop of the race. Sean Hayes has got to slow down. Penalty having gone wide in Tetra Rouge. Geordie Fike has to shoot past, but he'll have nobody to bump him if Hayes can't clear that quick enough. Hayes still hasn't cleared it. Hayes still hasn't cleared it. This really, really helps Ronnie Coates, who now leads by 5.8 seconds. Sean Hayes clears his penalty, but it means that him and Geordie Fike cannot work together down the Mulsanne straight just yet this time, and it spares, like, honestly, that's worth like 2 seconds to Ronnie Coates.
Yeah, 1.2 seconds back is Sean Hayes, and he'll get a whole bunch of draft here, but he's going to have to work for it in order to reconnect with Geordie Fike, and that's one straight lost. And it's back to saying 2.5 laps to go. Hayes, which one's it going to be?
Look at the power of this toe. Sean Hayes had a slowdown penalty. He was out of the throttle. He got past so quickly, but he still managed to hook up onto this behind Geordie Fike and reunite them by the end of the straight here. The Fike's going quicker than Ronnie Coates as well. So what does Sean Hayes do? Is it bump? It's bump.
Yeah, and it's a good push, but it's a late push, and it's basically going to make them all square. 5.5 seconds at the end of the Mulsanne straight this time by.
We're doing 4-minute 40s here or there. So you think it's 2 laps to go, crossing the start-finish line. If there's less than 9 minutes 20 on the clock when they cross the start-finish line, it's close. Man, it's close.
Yeah, it's gonna be really on the edge. I'm excited to see it. Ray and Lincoln had a real good push that time. They took another chunk of time out of Andrew Gilliland, who's running all alone at this point. And we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that battle as they keep closing it down. At the front, all 3 in the pack in one shot.
Yeah, your race leader still staying 5 seconds ahead of second place after Sean Hayes' slowdown penalty. Geordie Fike catching up, going past. What is still possible from here? Remember, I'm saying 9 minutes 20, thinking about it again, about 9 minutes 15 on the clock. Whichever side of that we are, Ronnie Coates crossing the start-finish line. Is it 2 or is it 3 more laps to go in this race? 9:40 on the tower right now, still working our way through the Porsche curves. I think we get 2 more, but it is oh so touch and go.
Honestly, the fact that Fike and Hayes had that little snafu behind him might have given Ronnie Coates the buffer that he needs to slow down enough to make sure that it's only 2 more laps. 9, 18, 15.
I'm thinking 2 laps to go from here.
Yeah, I think you're going to be right, barring a mega draft, but I'm not expecting that to happen.
No white flag either, though. So next time around, the presence or non-presence of a white flag will let us know. 8 minutes 40 seconds. Ronnie Coates leads by 5 seconds. Sean Hayes still just with Geordie Fike in the tow here. They're nearly 10 seconds ahead of Brian Shabalski, 5 seconds ahead of Andrew Gilliland, who is being hunted by Ray Lombardi and Lincoln Fox. Otis Adams and Adam Thompson look like they've both made their final stops, and they're together through the Porsche curves here. Pardon me, with Andy Kossig as the last car running.
Working hard for it. Let's see if they can get through Tete Rouge clean this time. Looks like they both do. Give it a pretty wide berth, if I'm honest. And Hayes is in the draft and pushing, but 6.3 seconds as they enter the Mulsanne straight this time. They got some work to do.
The other thing they might be hoping and praying for is Ronnie Coates' fuel consumption, or a miscalculation there. If Coates just needs to save a little bit. With no chicanes around this layout, it's so tough to save any amount of fuel not in the tow. Sean Hayes gives Geordie Fike a little bit of a bump right now. They're 2 miles an hour quicker than Ronnie Coates down the straight. Right now they're 3 miles an hour quicker than Ronnie Coates down the straight. Right now they're 4 miles an hour quicker than Ronnie Coates down the straight.
Yeah, they keep on gaining on him.
There's the rest of the gang down the Mulsanne, with Brian Shabalski, Andrew Gilliland, Ray Lombardi, and Lincoln Fox. Like we pointed out, Andrew Gilliland perhaps thinking about breaking the tow, but I think it's by the end of this lap that Andrew Gilliland's 5th place will be under threat. It's not the end of this lap where Ronnie Coates' race lead is under threat just yet. If anything, they're right back where they were a lap ago.
Yeah, they've almost atoned for that little mistake on the last lap. And as we exit the Mulsanne straight, there's almost exactly 5 seconds between them. So Ronnie Coates doing some serious work in the back half of the track too, it must be said. Last time by, looks like he was 0.6 of a second quicker in the final sector and nearly 0.5 of a second quicker in the 4th sector, the second to last sector. So he's doing a lot of work.
Andrew Gilliland's got to slow down. Andrew Gilliland has a slowdown out of Arnage. He gets passed by Ray Lombardi. He gets passed by Lincoln Fox. He was already in a tough spot, but he's had a mistake there. Maybe even appears to have picked up a little bit of damage. But Ray Lombardi goes through back to 5th place, bringing Lincoln Fox through as well into 6th. Andrew Gilliland to 7th place with a mistake at Arnage corner.
And it's tough. That's the darkness. Honestly, even on the broadcast, it looks a little bit brighter than it does inside the car. And these guys are, you just, as the lighting changes, your markers move. If you're using that shadow's gone now. And yeah, that's a tough break for the young Andrew Gilliland behind the wheel of that Miata there, number 16.
So is there a chance that they even catch Brian Shabalski on the final lap? Geordie Fike through the Porsche curves on some good lines here. Very important that not only they link up well on the Mulsanne straight, but that they don't lose too much time to Ronnie Coates through this part of the lap where he's obviously very strong. Average lap times have been sort of 4-minute 35s, 4-minute 40s. We're just crossing that now, that time remaining on the clock, with Ronnie Coates approaching the start-finish line. I think if it had been him and Sean Hayes together the whole race, it might have gone a lap longer, but these last 2 stints, Ronnie Coates has been just a tiny bit slower. But is the white flag in his hand? It is. I think he's about...
It's not.
It's not.
It's
so
not.
That's 2 more.
2 to go.
Wow.
So,
Can we resend our invoice?
This shakes everything up.
Sure does. It gives Geordie Fike and Sean Hayes another golden opportunity. Hayes looks pretty close to Geordie Fike, who's clearly muscling it through all of the corners, the chicanes, the twisty bits here. They'll be together when they get onto the Mulsanne straight. Ronnie Coates has had no one to help him save fuel, no one to bump him, no one to slipstream this whole time, and he took just 18 seconds of fuel at his final stop.
And you can't fake it at this track. Like, it's a minute and a half of wide open throttle, and then a minute of wide open throttle. Like,
there's nowhere to hide in those circumstances, is there? 5.4 seconds the race lead. No slowdown penalties from second and third, this time coming through Tetra Rouge. I don't think Sean Hayes is ever going to make that mistake again. I don't think so. It really, really stung him. He's now to the bumper of Geordie Fike, pushing him along. Ronnie Coates' lead slowly eroding. Brian Jabelski's fourth place slowly eroding as Ray Lombardi, Lincoln Fox and Andrew Gilliland are about to get onto the Mulsanne straight as well. Andrew Gilliland's pushing Lincoln Fox behind Ray Lombardi. Sean Hayes pushing Geordie Fike still here. They're underneath that magic 5 seconds to Ronnie Coates. Lombardi's going to get freight trained here.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it just at the top of the shot there as now we're on it. That's Ray Lombardi on the right-hand side of the shot, and Andrew Gilliland making it too wide as he tries to make the move on Lincoln Fox around the outside. Now Lombardi's going to have the momentum coming from behind, and he's going to end up back in the lead of them all. They're 3 wide. And they might think this is the last lap. I doubt it. Hopefully they've noticed.
Now Lombardi moves across. Fox and Gilliland follow. And then Fox pulls out to what will be the inside. Andrew Gilliland's going to go with Lincoln Fox. Provide a little bit of a shove. The race leaders are now off the Mulsanne straight, and Ronnie Coates has just 3.4 seconds of race lead over Geordie Fike and Sean Hayes. Fike almost made a little bit of a meal of that corner there.
Not even a sniff of a lift from Coates either. Like, drove it all the way in. So I don't know how he's doing on fuel, but that wasn't the fuel saving of a man. Oh, and an issue there as we go through the Mulsanne corner.
Lincoln Fox has a moment. Andrew Gilliland and Ray Lombardi go through, and this helps Brian Chbelski stay off the hook just a little bit, who is 4-5 seconds ahead and ripe to get caught by this group behind, except when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, that's not the fastest way down the straight. Freight train, boys, freight train.
Choo-choo, multiple unit control, potentially. 4 seconds, Ronnie Coates to Geordie Fike.
Geordie Fike turns into Arnage that time and loses a little bit of time, turns in a bit early. Darkness playing its part in the story here today.
So what will happen this time around coming to the start-finish line? Is there anyone who's going to need to pit? What flag will Barney wave?
I don't know.
Clock's going to expire before Ronnie Coates gets to the start-finish line. Barney cannot wave the checkered flag without having first waved the white flag. We cannot go to a checker without a white flag lap first. Time expires. Ronnie Coates passes pit lane entry. Geordie Fike and Sean Hayes passes pit lane entry. Time is up, and Barnold Flagman surely waves the checkered flag. Surely that's it.
Waves nothing? What's going on? He's holding it, but he's not waving it.
He was holding the white, now he's holding the checkered. I got to assume he's just forgotten how to wave them. Ronnie Coates wins. Sean Hayes pips him for second there on Geordie Fike. Brian Jabelski finishes fourth, not caught by Ray Lombardi, Andrew Gilliland, and then Andrew Gilliland gets ahead of Lincoln Fox to the checkered flag.
Otis Adams is battling with Adam Thompson into the Porsche curves this time. Goes Otis around the outside, gets pushed a little bit wide. The two of them are going to have a battle here all the way to the line. And Barney playing tricks on us in the dark at Le Mans here.
Flag waiver was on strike, I think.
That wasn't Barney, that was Barney.
Oh, Justly Bonnet.
Je fais la grève.
Otis Adams ran it a little bit wide there. He's not in a position to challenge Adam Thompson for 8th place, but Adam Thompson gets in wide. Adam Thompson's way off the line. A good exit here, and it's possible that we have a race to the unwaved checkered flag. Coming out of the final corner, Adam Thompson just holds off Otis Adams, and the last car to take the checkered flag will be Andy Kosick.
You know what it must have been was Barney just figured we were looking at the clock. You know? It's right there. And Andy Kosick brings it home over the line. Nice clean race from Andy. And finishes it up. The last of our qualifying finishers. Zeus Dalston. No, we'll go from the top.
So with everyone having finished now 19 laps of the historic Le Mans no chicane circuit, Ronnie Coates holds on to a race win. Sean Hayes and Geordie Fike not able to catch him in the final stint. Brian Tabelski there in 4th, not caught by Ray Lombardi or Andrew Gilliland, who is the open class winner. Lincoln Fox, Adam Thompson, Otis Adams Jr. and Andy Kosick, the 10 cars that finished. Zeus Dalston went hard into the wall on cold tyres. So did Simon Foweather. Gareth Brocklesby, I almost can't remember. I think he ran out of internet. And Eugenio Pollicci may have run out of patience. That's how they finished the final race of the season for Spec-5 World Tour. And it gives Ronnie Coates a championship in the pro class and Andrew Gilliland the open class championship.
And a heck of a race it was. All the drama and more, and I still can't believe that Ronnie Coates pulled that one off. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what he has to say about that if we can get him in here.
I'm sure we will at some point. Is there a chance that Sean Hayes is a sleeper agent? We'll never know. We'll simply never know. Let's get to our race winners, who conveniently are also our class champions after 13 rounds of Spec-5 World Tour Season 15. Andrew Gilliland wins the open class, wins the championship at Le Mans.
Oh, I'm like shocked to say the least. This has been something that I've dreamed of since I've started racing this league. I think just about 2 years ago. It's just awesome to finally be able to execute it.
Was certainly a race of a very different character to some of the others. It was all about who you could work with, who would work with you, and the pit strategy.
Yeah, it was definitely a race that I wasn't expecting. It's definitely something I had to get used to, but it was awesome, racing with Ray, Jordy, Sean Hayes, all those guys, just awesome, just pushing down the back straight away. And it was awesome working with them. I learned a lot of new things.
Double length race, double the pit stops. So you have a lot of strategy to think about.
Yeah, it definitely strategy played into it. It was just the fuel and everything. I actually ended up coming tight. I think I had 0.3 of a gallon left, which wasn't too tight. But if we would have had an extra lap, which I know we are extremely close to having 20 laps in a race, I probably would not have had enough fuel to finish.
Well, congratulations once again. Your open class race winner, your open class champion of Spec-5 World Tour.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
You want to maybe list some names you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank, first of all, Aussie Sales and Heat Total Facility Solutions. And then I'd also like to thank my two coaches, Camden Hibbett and then Nathan Bird, for helping me throughout the season on the sim, not only helping with racecraft, but also with pace and just overall learning every single track. And I'd like to thank my family and everybody who make this whole thing possible and who support me every Thursday night, stay up late past our bedtimes and, watch me and cheer me on.
congrats. And with this double length race, it's way past your bedtime.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
There we go, Andrew Gilliland. And that means, Devon, we've got one more.
Yeah, we are joined by Ronnie Coates, race winner and season 15 champion. How you feeling, Ronnie?
Oh, tired, sore, nervous, excited, a little bit of everything.
As we were watching the race, it seemed like you had it all in the bag in the first half. You and Sean were working together real well. How was it feeling at that point?
Yeah, we were putting a little more time up on the relative every. Oh, sorry, something's loud in the background. Anyway, yeah, we were putting time up on him every lap, and so yeah, I thought we were just going to go to the end and the two of us would finish. But yeah, when he spun or got a slowdown, I didn't actually see what happened. Yeah, but then I was just like a sitting duck out there.
Well, and after that, we up in the booth, we were writing you off. I was like, why isn't he backing up and maybe saving some fuel? But sure enough, it looked like you had plenty of fuel by the end of the thing.
Yeah, I was right on. I had a 10th. I mean, I wasn't saving any because I was out there by myself. But yeah, I had a 10th left right at the end. And, I could see all through the twisty bits. I could pull maybe a second or so on the relative. And so I knew it was going to be close. So I just kept my head down and kept trying to go for it. It was fortuitous for me. I think Sean got a slow down there as they were getting close to catching me.
Sure enough, you got it exactly right. 4 race wins this season and a pretty dominant performance in the regular point standing. Also, I think just narrowly winning the Mr. Clean Championship as well. So a clean sweep for you this year.
Oh, really? I had no idea on that. I know I got no incidents tonight, which was amazing. A couple of times I thought for sure I did, but that's awesome. That's fantastic.
So, what are you thinking? Looking forward to the next season? Gonna put the smackdown on these guys again?
Well, definitely give it a shot. I'm actually kind of looking forward to having the summer off. To have a few, at least a few weeks. I'm sure like everybody else, we got lives outside of this, so it's always challenging to find the time to do it.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you, and a pleasure to watch you put on a show tonight and this whole season, Ronnie.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thanks for doing the broadcast. It's fun to go back and watch it. You guys do a really nice job on there, and Spec-5 guys do a great job putting this league on. So anyway, yeah, I look forward to a little rest and then back at it again.
We'll see you.
All right, night.
Well, after 13 rounds of season 15 of the Spec-5 World Tour, 90 minutes of Le Mans Historic settles it all, and Ronnie Coates shows the speed and execution he had over the rest of the field as he takes another win and takes the championship. Andrew Gilliland's consistent hard work and high overall finishes gives him the Open Class Championship, and he is absolutely thrilled about it. We've got more iRacing coming on HJBC with the Champ Car iRacing series, as well with races still to come throughout the year. So wherever you're watching, make sure you follow us. Thank you so much. Spec-5 World Tour, their 3rd season of having us on board, broadcasting their races. So exciting. I've been David Haynes with Devon Peters, Michael Derby in the production all season long. Our congrats go to the championship, the champions. Our thanks go to the league, and to you we say thank you for watching and goodbye until next time.